And good evening. It is November 27th, 2018, 7 p.m. I'll call this meeting of the Stowe Board of Selectmen to order. And our first order of business, as usual, is public comment. Don't everybody rush stage. Anything not on?
No.
Ann? No, so-
Make
all
some
right.
up, right, just
Thank
move it on.
you. Chairman's comments. First of all, I want to congratulate the Neshoba field hockey team on making it to the division championship and having an undefeated regular season. And also want to wish the best to the Neshoba football team. Good luck playing in the Division IV championship at Gillette, and what that must be like to actually play football at Gillette.
And when is that, in case anybody wants to?
When is that?
Friday,
Friday, this Friday.
5 p.m.,
December 30th.
So,
November 30th.
November 30th. Thank you.
and I want to mention also the Citizens Police Academy. This is a version of Police Academy, toned down a little bit for regular citizens. It takes place over a series of evenings, 3 hours each, from 6:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. on Wednesdays, from February 20th to April 24th. So for 2 months, once a week. This is something that our police department has been doing for a while. The application deadline is January 4th. I think this sounds like a really cool thing, and I think this is the year I'm actually gonna do it. I think Kathy and I are actually gonna do it. Well, I look forward, Mr. Burke, to learning how to use a taser. I hope. But no, I think it's a terrific piece of outreach. And I just wanna see what they teach people.
It's not like Police Academy to move.
Okay. We do have a set of minutes to go through, the minutes from our last meeting of November 13th. I gave one comment to Maureen. Thank you for giving us an edited version, Maureen. I just tried I tried to be more specific about what we discussed regarding the strategic plan. You see that in the paragraph at the top of page 2 in red. I like how you do this. If I get you the comments in time, you do this.
Thank you.
This is good, as opposed to last minute.
So if we approve them in this amended form, the red will go away and the deleted part will go away.
The deletable part and the red color will go away, yes. I didn't have anything else. Did anybody else have anything on the minutes?
I move to accept the meeting minutes of November 13, 2018, as amended this
Second.
date.
Motions are made and seconded to accept the minutes of November 13th, 2018 as amended. Further comment? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye, and that is unanimous. Thank you. Abstentions, was everybody here?
Remember, I was here.
Okay, and
Moved.
what
To do
happens
leadership comment.
agenda? Correspondence. I hope the correspondence folder has been passing around. Does anybody see anything? There are a couple of things that have to be on future agendas. Number one, the thing from the Conservation Commission about the conservation restriction, but you're already planning on that, I know that. And there is a thing from LACAC, the Local Access Advisory Committee, about abolishing the old cable committee.
Right.
I apologize, Mr. Chair, for interrupting.
Should we put that on an agenda?
I think we should, and I was gonna explain it to Liaison, but I can explain it to the board while it's before them.
Why don't we wait for the explanation for Liaison? You're absolutely right. But Maureen, just make a note, we probably want it
Yep.
on an agenda. You can flesh it out later.
As the chair pleases.
One other thing that's in there is, there was a note about Tim Gray retiring.
Please, go
I
ahead.
think that it would be good to add a certificate of appreciation to the agenda for him for the next time also. He's served over 20 years on the highway, and I know he's still a call firefighter in town, and he's got 35 plus years doing that, so.
Great
it's,
idea. Okay. Anything else from correspondence? And I think that's a no. Okay, great, thank you. We now have a couple of two appointments, and I want to remind my colleagues of something. In our materials, because we're the appointing authority, we have personnel records here, and normally those are not public records. They stay not public records. unless we specifically use them in a meeting, and that means basically referring to them. So, in order to avoid documents becoming public records that we don't really want to become public records, and really the public doesn't have much interest in, their personnel records, it would be good if you have any questions or comments to try to phrase those questions and comments without reference to specific documents. Is that clear as mud, everyone?
Thank you,
Good.
Mr. Chair.
All right. First item,
What documents?
very good. First item is the appointment of a part-time dispatcher for the police department. And
Chief convene.
the chief has made a recommendation that we appoint, for the position vacated by Aaron Loftus, that we appoint Rachel Dacry as the part-time public safety dispatcher. Questions or comments?
I would just add the comment that we've been running shorthanded there for some period of time. Desperate to get the hire, well-qualified, experienced. I support the chief's recommendation strongly.
Thank you, Bill.
That's substantial documentation to back up that recommendation.
All right, do any members of the board have any questions?
Nope, I believe that she is very qualified for the job.
Tom, as liaison, the usual process was done, right?
I've reviewed all
Yeah,
necessary stuff.
okay. Is there a motion?
On the recommendation of the Stowe Police Chief William Bosworth and our liaison to public safety, Tom Ryan, Selectmen, and also our town administrator, I move to appoint Rachel Dacry as part-time police dispatcher for the Stowe Police Department for a one-year term expiring June 30th, 2019, and subject to reappointment thereafter.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to appoint Rachel Dacry as a part-time dispatcher for the police department for a one-year term. Further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed, nay.
You can have
Abstentions?
this one.
That carries unanimously. And our next item, same precaution about referring to documents, is a recommendation for an appointment of a full-time highway employee. We happen to have the superintendent of streets here with us. Do you want to add anything to what we've seen, Mike?
Yeah, we interviewed him, he was the only application we got in this round. He's one of the most qualified guys we've seen in a couple of years, actually, so he'll be a pleasant surprise, he'll fit right in. He already knows some of the guys, because he works for Davey Tree, who does the line clearing for Hudson Lake Power, so we've worked with him before also on rare occasions, so he's a good guy.
So the gentleman in question's name is Brent Allen.
Yes.
And do any members of the board have any questions for Mike?
Just got one question. My understanding is he's got his own business also. Do you see any conflicts with that?
Not his own business, he has his pesticide license, and, but he doesn't he used to have a business, he doesn't anymore.
Okay.
But he has, I think it had something to do with spraying insecticide and pesticides.
Good question. Anything else from members of the board?
The only thing I was gonna say is I think it's getting harder and harder to find people who are willing and able to come out and be available at all hours of the day. So if we've got a good qualified guy, it's a blessing, shall we say.
I have a general background question for the town administrator. I know why we appoint public safety officers, because of the weak chief statute. And I know that we don't appoint employees like when the building department hires somebody, we don't appoint them. Is there something, the equivalent of the weak chief statute for highway?
No, but more importantly in direct, our governance agreement, the charter, is a
Okay.
long list of appointments that you make directly. And I'm not certain why it happened with the highway, but it's not only do you appoint the superintendent, the next line says in all employees.
Okay, all right, that answers it.
So they didn't, some odd occurrence was going on when when they did that. But
Somebody
that's
was-
the only department where, you know,
We-
other than the statutory ones.
Right.
That it's, because the building inspector, but not the rest of the employees. So
Right, when they
the rest
hire-
default to me, but there's a list that says you are the appointing authority. Now,
Yeah,
you
but-
could delegate it if you wanted to, but it's yours.
When the building department hires an administrative assistant, we don't.
No,
Hire
because it's
that.
not on the list. you
Right,
know.
okay, that explains that.
I mean, that's the way back when I got hired, and I was the first and currently the only one. We had that discussion, and I said, from my perspective, that list is yours, and until unless you want to give it up or delegate it or hand it off, then I'm going to go by that list, and if it's not on the list, or if the board wanted to take on others, I'm happy to give those others as well, but that's the way we've left it for all these years, you know? If it's on the list, then they're yours.
Sounds to me like a topic for charter review.
No, we'll do that after I'm gone, please.
Mr.
Do I
Chairman,
have a motion?
We wouldn't know what we're doing.
Mr. Chairman, on the recommendation of Highway Superintendent Mike Clayton, I move to authorize the town administrator to hire Brent Allen as tree worker in the Stowe Highway Department.
Sorry, Mr. Clerk, second.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to hire Brent Allen as a tree worker in the highway department for an unstated term? Yeah, I guess that's not for a term, it's just, yeah, employment at will, I guess. Further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay, and that is unanimous.
Any relation to Barry?
You know, I was gonna make that joke, but I didn't,
But you should.
I didn't think anybody would get it. All right, next item are our annual renewals of common victualler and class two.
Don, that's yours.
Vittler?
You-
Vittler?
Fiddler.
Common vit,
It's an old British.
we have this debate every year. Common Vittler licenses and class two used car dealership licenses.
We've already had a discussion earlier to maintain the fee structure, all the background paperwork.
We have all that.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I move to renew the town's common vittler licenses for the following businesses for 2018. Should be for 2019.
Yeah, it should be.
Excuse me, for 2019. Dunkin' Donuts at Stowe Golf Station, 626 Great Road, Stowe Cafe, 118 Great Road, Delta Epsilon Inc., DBA Stowe House of Pizza, 156 Great Road, Stowe LLC, DBA Dunkin' Donuts at Stowe Shopping Plaza, 117 Great Road, and Emma's Cafe, 117 Great Road.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to renew the town's common Vittler licenses as stated. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. And that is unanimous. Mr. Hawks.
Mr. Chairman, I move to renew the town's Class 2 licenses for the following businesses for 2019. Patterson Auto Body, Inc., 18 Great Road. Import-Export of Boston, 8 Whitman Street. Great Road Fuels, 368 Great Road. Richard Presti, Chapel Partners, Inc., 102 Great Road. BGL Automotive Corporation, DBA Hudson Road Auto, Inc., 383 Great Road. Dennis Paul Scafidi, Infinite Detail and Accessories, 102 Great Road, and P, the letter P, Cars, 370 Hudson Road.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to renew the Class 2 used car licenses for 2019 as stated. Mr. Burke.
Mr. Town Administrator, when this came up last year, there was some discussion about whether or not one of these businesses was active, and we had, I think, to put it over a couple nights, to another night. It
Took 2 months,
took 2 months, yeah. Was that ever worked out?
to my satisfaction it was. And I reported back to the board and everybody thought it,
Okay. No, I know it was, but nobody's raised an issue.
not since. God, I've forgotten all about that. Right, I thought a couple things tonight I've forgotten about.
You were hoping to forget. You keep forgetting about it.
I apologize for jogging bad memories. I have nothing further, Mr. Chair.
Everything's good.
Okay, so
Inspections, mhm.
the main piece of information we need on these is input from the police. We've gotten that, and everything's fine. Is there any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. And that is unanimous. We will now take a slight break in the action while we sign.
Kinetic action.
Mr. Hawks, can you, well, the next item on our agenda is a discussion of vote regarding the Selectmen's 2019 meeting schedule. Maureen, do you want to take us through that? I'm not really sure what we have to discuss.
I think the trickiest one is that our meeting next year around Thanksgiving will fall the Tuesday of Thanksgiving week. So we can talk about it closer to that time, or,
I think we just wait until closer to
Right.
that. There may even be different members of the board at that time, and
all right.
so I'm not sure what we're not gonna change it from second and fourth Tuesdays,
Right.
so I'm not sure we have anything else to discuss about that.
Mhm. 4th of July might be a little bit tricky, but like you say, they fall when they fall, and we can talk about it. It's always good to know ahead if you know your vacations in and around summer.
Yeah, that gets more
Yeah,
complicated.
so I'll always send out an email on that.
So, the next item after that, unless somebody has something they want to add on that, they don't. Next item after that is the change in date on the tree lighting. Don, do you want to give us a short explanation on that?
Sure. As you recall, at our last meeting, I guess it was, we had Karen Stams and, I forget her name, representative from the Stowe Lions, to come in for what is hopefully going to be a continuing annual celebration of the season, and exemplified by the lighting of the tree at the lower common. There was considerable discussion as to what was the appropriate date as far as construction limitations might be, and, but not another limitation, which I will tell you about in a minute. The end result of that being that we authorized this Friday, November 30th, as their preferred date, with December 7 as a backup, if I recall correctly, rain date. Subsequent to that, about the middle of last week, we had the happy news that the Chairman alluded to earlier, that the Neshoba Chieftains will be playing that same night at Gillette. And not only are there likely to be several community members who wish to attend the game, but several of the event organizers have sons playing in that game. And so that was clearly not anticipated at the time that this occurred. And fortunately, by accident of the early posting, we were able to get this on with the chairman's assistance, to get it on this calendar for tonight. And what they would like to do is move it back to Saturday this week,
Okay.
which is December 1. And she didn't mention anything. I guess we only alter that date would be the motion, and leave the December 7 as the backup. She didn't indicate any conflict with that. But we certainly want everyone to be able to get out. It was a great turnout last year on very short notice. Great organization on Ms. Stam's part, and a lot of people helping. I was glad to be of some little assistance last year, but this year all I can do is try to get the date clear so we can get the biggest attendance turnout
Okay.
this Saturday night.
Thank you, Don. So Maureen reminded me after we all returned from Thanksgiving weekend that our last vote actually was somewhat flexible, set November 30th and any other date as might be agreed. Nonetheless, now that they seem to have settled on a date, I would accept a motion setting December 1st, 2018 as the date for the annual tree lighting ceremony with December 7th as a backup. Is that what you said?
Yes.
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to set December 1st, 2018 as a date for the annual tree lighting ceremony with December 7th as a backup. Is there further discussion, Mr. Burke?
Just a quick question, and this is brought up when we originally approved the tree lighting date. The delay in the completion of the lower village, is that gonna crowd anyone, or is there still a staging area?
Mike?
The contractor is gonna have all of his stuff off the common by then, his trailer and everything. He said if he had to work out of his truck for the remainder of the season, then he would do that.
Great.
So that's gonna be gone on Friday. All the other stuff is gonna be gone. The only thing we have to worry about out there is how muddy it's gonna be. So I think we, as the highway department, are probably gonna get some sort of construction fencing and cordon off an area that's safe for everybody to be in. I'm meeting with the organizer tomorrow afternoon with Mike Solis to go over all that, so
Okay,
we'll
good.
have more information on that tomorrow.
Great.
Because as I recall, there was a strip of undisturbed grass anyway around the
Yep.
east end
It's kind of small, though.
of the tree.
Yeah,
And most of the activity last year,
was it in that?
when the fire
in
truck
that
pulled
area,
in,
yeah.
et cetera, was on the paved area anyway.
Yeah, I'm thinking having it there and maybe down
Right.
below more by the point kind of too, you know what I mean?
And as
So
I
it's a
recall,
little
last
easier.
year, you provided the temporary lighting.
Yeah, we'll have two of those this year. I already
Yeah.
talked to her about that.
Wonderful.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. So,
Are you
December
Santa
what?
Claus again? Oh, Jesus.
I didn't gain enough weight this year.
Take too much padding.
all right,
Yeah.
any further discussion about setting December 1st as the date for the annual tree lighting? Seeing, hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That's unanimous. Okay, now, town administrator's report.
So I've been preparing financial status report on an annual basis for a number of years. And it was a working document for me for many years, and then in recent years I decided that I would share it with the board. I won't go through all of it in detail here, but I think there's information that you can look at if there's any questions about it. Otherwise, I'll just hit some of the highlights as we go through it until 7:30. But if you go to the first page, basically that's the analysis of free cash that we undertake each year. And that's how you get from the certified amount of the current fiscal year you're in, and you're looking for certification in the fall. So the fiscal year begins July 1st. We usually get certification, and our accountant does a bang-up job getting it out in time to get it early, so that if we have a fall town meeting and I've needed money, I've used free cash instead of adding to the tax amount, because we don't have our tax rate set, and we haven't approved it because that comes in November. So I'll just hit a couple of numbers here because it's pluses and minuses. So at the top right corner, certified on 7/1/17 was $2,787,417. And we, this last May at town meeting, spent $1,171,139 out of free cash. Now, when I presented my budget to you, I was at around the 900,000, approaching 900,000 budget application. Some things came in after my budget that were late articles, and I said, we'll take them out of free cash. The town clerk publishes the minutes, you can go through that whole list. And then there's one item in there that's being carried at 282,000 as a debit off what is potentially our total free cash, because, as you know, for Chapter 90, we basically, from cash on hand, pay the couple $100,000 a year, generally $280 a year in that ballpark, plus or
280.
minus. And then we await reimbursement from the state. So the motion this year was to take from available funds. And available funds got interpreted by DOR as free cash. But there are other available funds, and it was meant to be available funds approved by town council. And it's my suggestion to him, because we used to say something like borrowing, and everyone would ask, well, where are you borrowing? And the answer would be, and it was never even acceptable to me, it came out, from years ago, well, we borrow from ourselves. No, we take from cash on hand, but that isn't a term that DOR recognizes, though they know what it means. Available funds is, so we put the correct term in this year for the first time in 28 years, and it got defaulted to free cash. So in any event, when you look at that 1,171,000, in there is $282,000, okay, that will be added next year, because we're taking from cash on hand, which is also known as available funds, but they use it as free cash. So I just want you to know that. We did well in any event, but it's take 282 out of that 171, and that's what we actually spent. In any event, that's what we intended to do last year. We loaded up on free cash in many places, and as much as I thought was reasonable based on what I thought we'd get back in free cash, what we have for a stabilization fund, and so our stored assets, and I was trying to get into that mark of under 10%, close enough, it's 9 point something, to try to affect a substantive reduction in the tax rate, and I think we've done that. But anyway, just want to tell you. A couple other figures in there at the top going down. So parentheses is a negative number, obviously without it's a positive number. When we estimate our revenues each year, local receipts is one of them. So you see property taxes, state aid, local receipts. The negative 121,890 is a budget to actual number. So when we submit the tax recap to the state, we're estimating sometimes on what we're going to get for revenues in certain areas. One of them is back taxes, because we have 0.5% on average, and that's later in here, of delinquent taxes. That's an astoundingly low percentage. I think in my tenure, we've exceeded 1% late payments once, and we're 0.5, 0.6, but we estimate each year we're gonna collect a certain amount of back taxes. Well, what was estimated and what was taken in was 121,000 off, so we had to take that off of what otherwise would be the free cash number. Where we really did especially well, depending on how you view it, is under local receipts. You see 564,701. That means that what we estimated, and what we is, it's myself, the accountant, the assessors, and treasurer, depending on some combination, and then there's some statutory authority with regard to who gets to make the final call on like local receipts. It's not me. But we get together, huddle up, talk about these things, and we put in a number. Well, the actual local receipt collection amount came in at 564,000 above what we estimated. Now, what we try to do, and again, the numbers, the trending numbers are in here on local receipts year to year as a revenue. We've never once estimated local receipts that came in, and the collection came in less than what we estimated, which I'd rather err on the side that we've been conservative, therefore having more money available than the alternative. And too frequently, the state and some cities and towns do it the other way around, so they then can promise some programs and stuff that in the end, they even know going in, they probably can't fund, but at the beginning, I'm editorializing now, at the beginning of the year, everybody feels good about it, we got enough money, those revenues are gonna come in, we're gonna be able to do all kinds of things. We don't do it here that way, so that remains, but we were reading the tea leaves. This was a banner year for local receipts for us.
Are the local receipts, excise taxes, and
Yes, all of those. We get a full page of local receipts that come into us, fees and taxes, excise and other things. The biggest one is the excise for motor vehicle. It's the single biggest one, but ambulance fees, right down the line, is a long list of them. So anyway, so that comes to us. We don't lose it, and it'll come as free cash. Rollback taxes, tax liens, those kind of things.
Can you just, in one sentence, what is rollback taxes?
That's chapter land, that when it comes out of chapter land, we get our taxes back. And we've got a great deal of land in chapter land, and it's now converting back, and it's either the sale of or the change in use. And 61, 61A and B are all different. Some require both, some
Thank
don't.
you.
And then you get down below under what is called increase, decrease, overlay at the end of the year. Okay, and that number, just below that is where the givebacks are. So starting under general government, administration, finance, we have all our departments and stuff. This is what remained at the end of the year from what was budgeted that came back to us. So that becomes available funds through free cash. And it's a long list of things. I will say this about public safety, so police, dispatch, fire, EMS, highway and grounds. Those are significant numbers that came back to us, so that's available funds. And for the most part, what happened
Vacant
last
positions.
year is we were running short-staffed,
Yeah.
people out, workers' comp, all the rest of it in those three departments, and we still are in some cases. So we weren't spending it in other areas, those salaries, some were partial years, like there was workers' comp case that went all year plus. So those are unexpended funds, and that's probably 80% of what those total in the three were. We were running short-staffed, and it's a tribute to the departments, because they make the departments work even when they're short-staffed, rather than going to overtime when they don't have to and the rest of it. And so I do want to say that public safety out of all our departments is real efficient at running short-staffed. So those are the larger numbers there. So you go down the list, and when you get to the bottom line, certified free cash for use in this of 7/1/218 is $2,735,392. So if you look at the figure above at 2,787,417, after all we spent, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not a push, but it's pretty close. And so we were able to benefit, the taxpayers singularly. The departments did a good job. We got through the year, and we're sitting at a place that we're still in pretty good shape there. A little bit down. And 282,000 of that, we're actually up as that comes out. Then the next page is a historical chart with regard to Precache Trends. And I'll just highlight a few figures. If you go back to the beginning, the first year that's shown here is 2008, 2009. You drop down, total free cash beginning balance 434,769. So 10 years ago, we had 434,769, which is much more than we had 20 years ago.
Right.
We had what they call a negative free cash for a while, but it took us a long time, and we came out of it and then slowly beginning to grow it, spend it each year, so we couldn't afford to spend. What we were spending early in my tenure here was to balance a budget, which, is not what you prefer to do for accounting purposes on the revenue side, is to balance an operating budget with it, but you had to. Or you needed an override, and overrides weren't passing that very well once we got there. Then total free cash used, 250,000. So if you trend our increased use of free cash and the expenditures, right, you can see where we start from. And we've continued to grow our free cash, and we've continued to spend more free cash for purposes like capital projects. And then this last year, for the first time, to reduce the tax rate and take care of all our capital projects as well on it. So certified free cash 7/1, go drop to the bottom right left corner. So certified at the beginning at the top, certified at the end, 434, 604 in 2008. Come all the way over to this current FY8 or FY18, not the current year. 2,735,392, the one I just went over. So we've obviously the trend in that 10-year period is a steady, stable growth in free cash and increased use of free cash at the same time. That will work.
This is the first year free cash balance has gone down by anything.
Yeah,
And
and
it barely
we
went down.
and we
It went down
spent
by 40,000.
Again, we
spent
gave back more this year
Yeah.
under the departments than we typically do because we're
Right.
short-handed and the rest of it. And, some years you get big rollback taxes, other times you fall into some other money. Sometimes you exceed your estimate for back taxes, right? So there's a number of things there.
We went down by $40,000,
And technically, it's
and we
not down
spent
because
almost,
there's
we spent almost 1.2 million.
Yeah, and actually, it's not,
282.
you had 282 were actually plus.
Pretty well situated for pool boys.
Thank you. We're right on cue, the planning board is here.
Come back in the session.
It's
No.
various things from various sources, but there's supplemental statutes and things that come through and supplemental standard.
Thank you, Bill. What is the board's pleasure? We could either skip liaison reports or do them real fast. I don't want to keep everybody waiting for our executive session.
I don't have any reports.
I'm light anyway, so.
I just wanted to mention, and Ingeborg, you might be interested in this. I got a call from a director of SEHC. The ZBA is holding a hearing on December 6th on Plantation 2. Would like somebody from the board to show up just to voice the support that we've given before. Brian says he'll do it, but you might want to just know about it.
December 6th.
Yeah. Don?
No.
Nothing? Brian?
I'm going to be very brief, only because it was raised earlier in the meeting, and I
Yes.
pray the planning board's indulgence. The LACAC has decided to discontinue its cable contract negotiation committee. It's time to start negotiating with the cable companies to get cash in here to fund the various LACAC activities. The board has made a decision that it's not practical to have a separate committee to do that, so the LACAC wants to do that directly and absorb some of the contract negotiation committee into the LACAC board. They've presented that to, they've moved to do that. They presented it to the board, and I think it needs to be vetted to see if, what needs to be changed and whether or not we can vote it, and that should be on an agenda for another item. It is a matter of importance to them and some urgency, so that's why I'm mentioning it. Oh, and that, and the LACAC is buying a drone.
Okay. And with that, I will entertain a motion to go into executive session for the purposes of discussing strategy with respect to probable litigation.
Whose discussion in open meeting by jeopardize of litigation, and to, I take it, end the meeting
And
without coming back
We will
in.
not be going back into open session. Do I have such a motion?
So moved.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing strategy with respect to potential litigation, such that the discussion in open session would be detrimental to the interests of the town. We will not be coming back into open session, and this vote requires roll call vote. Ms. Hageman?
Aye.
Mr. Ryan?
Aye.
Mr. Hawks?
Aye.
Mr. Burke?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. We're in
Just
executive
briefly,
session.
we need to actually have our own motion.
Yes, you do.
So, somebody
Do you want
wants.
to make the motion? Yeah. We go into executive session as part of the joint board, planning board, and selectmen. Aye.
And to afterwards
Oh,
adjourn
to
into back to
resume
open
our
session.
open session. Aye.
Her name's Walter.
All right, so for those who are not either of the boards or part of the staff,
I think we'll recess briefly.
And that will include,